Hi, I'm Sherry Pierce. Welcome to today's episode of Knitsamazing. I'm going to be introducing you to a group called Caps for Kids Beantown. Now, some of you may have heard already of Caps for Kids. This group was started in 1984 in a California yarn store to help disadvantaged children to get hats to keep them warm. And in 1999, Candace Lowe started Caps for Kids Beantown in Boston, and it has been gangbusters ever since. They started with just like 100 hats the first year, and last year they collected over 10,000 and distributed over 11,000 hats and warm clothing items to children in the greater Boston area. So I think that this is something you may want to join in on. There are currently about 250 to 300 individuals who are knitting and or crocheting for this organization. They do accept items other than hats like scarves, mittens, anything that's handmade to help children be warm. But I believe the main focus has been and continues to be hats. So I decided I would try to make a couple of them. The first one that I came up with is kind of a labor of love because I made a pom-pom. And pom-poms are lots of fun, but sometimes can be a little challenging to get on, to stay on. This is the hat that I made for someone in this group. And as you can see, it's a little bit floppy on there, but it's a nice full one. I made it with a clover little pom-pom tool, and it's very simple. And if you go to a store like Hobby Lobby or Joann Fabrics or your local yarn store, you can easily pick up one of these little makers. Now, there's a couple of different ways. You can leave a long tail on each side of it, and then you can pull those through and tie them off inside. You can sew a button inside and then sew those strings down through the button and secure it that way. So there's more than one way to keep them on, but this is a lot of fun to do. And this hat I made with a double brim, so you can see it's really quite thick and will really keep some child warm in their forehead and all over. Another hat that I made, I was trying to think of some colors that boys or girls could wear, and this one is green and kind of a gray brown color that I held together. I'm trying to work on stash busting, so this is what I used. If I don't lose it onto the floor, I used a skein of some Barocco vintage and didn't do a very good job winding it up before I put it away. I used about half a skein, a little less than half a skein, so there's enough to make another one. And then I also had some filatura di crosa sport wool, and I held these together, and I used a size 8 needle, and it made this really nice fabric. It's quite dense, and I think will easily fit a boy that's in elementary school and probably up until early teens, because I put this on and it fits me. So I'm sure that this is going to work for quite a little while on any child. This one is called Marled Hat, and it is on Ravelry. There's 2 or 3 different marled hat patterns. I think this one says marled textured hat. So if you're looking for it, I think the last name of the designer was Striker, maybe. So you can look that up. I decided I'd make one more hat, and this one, I did the same thing. I took some leftovers, and I had some more. Again, Barocco vintage. It's kind of a good workhorse yarn that I use sometimes when I don't mind using a little bit of acrylic. It's partly acrylic, quite a bit of wool, has a little nylon, I think. And then someone donated this to me. It's a dark gray, and I think it's alpaca. It has a lot of nice fuzziness, and it's not Angora, so I'm pretty sure that it's alpaca. And I put those together, and I decided to go down a size in needles from what the pattern asked for. And this is what I came up with. It's a really nice thick hat. This one actually has a little more thickness than the greenish one. Because I went down in needle size, it gives it a little firmer feel to it. And I think this hat also will keep some child quite warm. The nice thing about this charity is they work with about 58 different organizations, last count, and they help them year after year. And the children often, say it's a school classroom, they try to allow the children to pick their own hat, which is really nice because kids like a chance to have their own personality show through when they're wearing their clothing. I know that from having grandchildren. So if you're interested in this organization, the address is on their website. They have a really great website. It's called capsforkidsbeantown.org. That's all one word. Caps, C-A-P-S, for, F-O-R, kids, K-I-D-S, Beantown. As any of you who live in the Boston area know, Boston is called Beantown by locals, and it's .org. Thank you very much for listening, and I will be back soon with another episode. Keep those hats, mittens, and gloves, scarves, sweaters going, and take a few minutes out and look into this particular one and see if you want to join and help. They do accept year-round. You won't have to keep the stuff in your home under the bed in a box. You can just send it anytime to their corporate office, and they are a 501(c)(3). You can get a receipt if you want for your tax purposes. So that's it for today. Thank you. Bye-bye.